They certainly had a very soporific effect upon the Flopsy bunnies.
Just before midday. Time for my dinner. Oh, the wee beastie. I'll have no seeds left at all. If this carries on, I shall have to borrow a cat from Miss Potter.
Oh, dearie me. Mr. Benjamin Bunny, Tiddly Whitley, where are your manners? No manners at all.
When Benjamin Bunny grew up, he married his cousin Flopsy. They had a large family, and they were improvident and cheerful. I do not remember the separate names of their children. They were generally called the Flopsy Bunnies. When food was short, Benjamin used to borrow cabbages from Flopsy's brother, Peter Rabbit. Sometimes Peter had no cabbages to spare.
Bye-bye, be good.
When this happened, the Flopsy Bunnies went across the field to a rubbish heap in the ditch outside Mr. McGregor's garden. The rubbish heap was a mixture. There were jam pots and paper bags and mountains of chopped grass from the mowing machine and some rotten vegetable marrows and an old boot or two. One day there were a quantity of overgrown lettuces which had shot into flower.
Oh, how vexing. It is Mr. Benjamin Bunny and his unruly family.
Ah, good. We'll be finished and gone before he's through with that. Good afternoon, ma'am. Pray excuse my youngsters. They've waited over long for their lunch today.
Then I think I shall withdraw, Mr. Benjamin, before I am eaten in mistake for a lettuce.
That would never do, ma'am. That would never do at all.
Oh, they are such bouncy bunnies and so untidy.
Mrs. Tittlemaus lived alone in a bank under a hedge. Such a funny house. There were yards and yards of passages leading to storerooms and nut and seed cellars. There was a kitchen, a parlour, a pantry and a larder. Also, there was Mrs. Tittlemaus's bedroom, where she slept in a little box bed. Mrs. Tittlemaus was a most terribly tidy, particular little mouse, always sweeping and dusting the soft, sandy floors. Sometimes a beetle lost its way in the passages.
Shoo, shoo, little dirty feet. Your house is on fire, Mother Ladybird. Fly away home to your children.
Beg pardon. Is this not Miss Moffat's?
Go away.
Oh, no, forgive me, my mistake. I'm awfully sorry. Oh, no, please, sorry. Sorry.
Nice,
Forgive me.
house.
Hey, courage and way, Longshanks. Mrs. Tittlemaus does not like uninvited guests. I do believe I can smell honey.
I shall go to my furthest storeroom and fetch cherry stones and thistledown seed for my dinner. I smell a smell of honey. Is it the cowslips outside in the hedge? Oh, I am sure I can see the marks of little dirty feet. Good day, Babbitty Bumble. I should be glad to buy some beeswax. But what are you doing down here? Oh, what is this doing in my house? Oh, I am not in the habit of letting letting lodgings. This is an intrusion. Oh! I'll have you turned out. Oh, I wonder who would help me. I will not have Mr. Jackson. He never wipes his feet. Mr. Benjamin Bunny, of course. I shall ask Benjamin Bunny to help me drive out these tiresome bees. Oh, dear. They are all asleep. Where is Mr. Benjamin? Mr. Benjamin, I am so sorry to disturb you, but as we are both acquainted with Mr. Peter Rabbit, I thought to ask a favour of you.
Oh, Peter Rabbit? Oh, good.
Oh, Mr. Benjamin, I am having such trouble with bees in my house.
Yes, indeed, my very tiresome creature. Had to pull this bag over my head to get any sleep at all.
Oh, dear.
Ah, good day, Mrs. Mouse. Oh, dear, have those rabbits been greedy again?
Oh, Mr. Redbreast, could you help me with my bees?
Bees, Mrs. Mouse? Bees? Nasty-tasting creatures. I prefer a nice fat caterpillar myself.
Oh, dear. What shall I do?
Well, here's my dinner coming now.
Who is that?
Mr. McGregor. He's bringing the grass cuttings to the rubbish heap. That's where I find the caterpillars.
The Flopsy Bunnies! Mr. McGregor is sure to see the Flopsy Bunnies.
He must do.
He'll catch them and put them into his sack.
And then Mrs. McGregor will put them in a pie with gravy and a crust.
We must wake them up. We must warn them quickly. You must all wake up. You are in danger.
Wake up! Wake up!
Wake up!
Wake up!
Wake up! Wake up!
Hurry
Stop
up!
it, you're
Please,
tickling me.
Come on!
Mr. Benjamin, wake up! Wake up!
Oh, what? Hey, aye.
Quickly, you must all hide now. Oh, he's coming!
Oh, hello, my little friend. You'll be wanting your caterpillars, I'll be bound. Nice fat caterpillars you're after, I'm sure. Well, there'll be more than one nice fat titbit hidden amongst this grass. I can assure you of that, my wee friend. There you are, my friend. See what you can find there. Eh? Well, that's very curious. Aha! Ho, 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 ho. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little rabbits.
Oh!
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little rabbits. I'll just away and put them more in the shed.
He's gone! He's gone! Come out! Come out! Oh dear, what a to-do!
Oh, the poor wee scamps.
Up here! Up here! He's left them up here!
Quickly, Mr. Benjamin.
Can you hear them?
Benjamin! What is going on here?
Oh, Flopsy, my dear, you gave me such a fright. I thought it was...
Mr. McGregor has caught your babies and put them in this sack.
My babies? Mr. McGregor? Oh, quickly, Benjamin. Don't you sit there. Let them out. Let them out. Oh, Benjamin, quickly do it. Oh,
It's too tight. It's too tight. Oh! It's no good. We can't open it. Oh, there, my dear. Don't cry. There must be something we can do. I'll fetch my father. Cousin Peter might think of something. Why, Mrs. Mouse, whatever can you be doing?
Mrs. Tittlemouse, how clever of you. Quickly, Benjamin. Help them out, Benjamin. That's it, quickly. Oh, my babies are sick. Oh, wonderful.
Mother, we thought we were tucked up in bed.
In bed, indeed. Mrs. McGregor would have put you in a pie.
What's that? I should have liked to see that happen. I would have saved you, never fear. Come on. Oh, well, all's well that ends well. Now, look, you children. Look sharp and pass up those old marrows, and that old blacking brush, and 2 of those decayed turnips.
And so they stuffed the sack with rubbish and closed up the hole with a thread. Then they hid under a bush to see what Mr. McGregor would do on his return. But Mrs. Tittlemouse was so alarmed at the prospect that she said good day and scuttled off, back to her home. But what a surprise awaited her on her return.
Mr. Jackson. How do you do, Mr. Jackson? Dearie me, you have got very wet.
Thank you, Mrs. Tittlemouse. I'll sit a while and dry myself.
I have had a very distressing morning, Mr. Jackson. But now I think it is time for my dinner.
Dinner, Mrs. Tittlemouse. The very thing, indeed. The very thing.
Cherry stones, Mr. Jackson. They are the last of my winter store, but very good. Oh.
No teeth. No teeth. No teeth.
Why, Mr. Jackson, I declare. No teeth. No teeth at all. Thistledown seed, Mr. Jackson. These are very soft.
Tiddly widdly widdly. Poof, poof, poof.
Mr. Jackson!
Thank you, Mrs. Tittlemouse. Now, what I really should like would be a dish of honey.
I'm afraid I haven't got any, Mr. Jackson.
Tiddly widdly widdly, Mrs. Tittlemouse. I can smell it. That's why I came to call.
Really, Mr. Jackson, I have no honey in my cupboards. You are all a puddle, Mr. Jackson. You are dripping dirty water onto my nice, clean floor. Indeed, you will stick fast, Mr. Jackson.
Oh, tiddly widdly widdly. No honey. No honey, Mrs. Tittlemouse.
Oh, Mr. Jackson.
Oh, is it in here, Mrs. Tittlemouse? Oh, tiddly widdly widdly, Mrs. Tittlemouse, you seem to have plenty of visitors.
And without any invitation. Oh, Mr. Jackson, here is Babbity Bob. Oh, Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jackson!
I do not like bumblebees. They are all over bristles. Buzz whiz whiz! I've found the honey, Mrs. Tittlemouse.
I shall go distracted.
Mr. Jackson pulled out the bee's nest and ate the honey. He seemed to have no objection to stings and could not be stopped. So the bees gathered up their pollen bags and flew away to find a quieter place for their nest. Meanwhile, Mr. McGregor had come back to fetch the sack. He carried it off carefully, for he believed the Flopsy bunnies were still sleeping peacefully inside. But if he had looked behind, he would have seen them following at a safe distance. They watched him go into his house, and then they crept up to the window to listen.
You're late today. Hope your dinner's not spoiled. Whatever's kept you?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little rabbits.
What have they been spoiling now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fat little rabbits. 1, 2, 3,
Don't be
4.
so silly. What do you mean, you silly man?
In the sack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, they must be off the old rabbits. They're very hard, and every one a different shape. They're not fit to eat. But the skins'll do fine to line my old cloak.
Line your old cloak? I shall sell them and buy myself baccy.
Rabbit tobacco! I shall skin them and cut off their heads. What's this? My old blacking brush. The marrows I threw out yesterday. Rotten turnips. You silly man, you've made a fool of me, and you've done it on purpose.
The wee beasties. They've got the better of me. Again!
I've got you.
One, two,
Oh, my
three,
little one, are you
4,
all right?
5,
Oh, let me...
And I tell you, there were 6 fat rabbits in that sack.
You take me for a fool, John McGregor. Am I to believe the fairies changed them into marrows?
Well, I
Believe
never
you, you
did.
pungeress woman, I'm telling you.
Benjamin and Flopsy thought it was time to go home. The youngest Flopsy bunny was not much hurt and was soon playing with his brothers and sisters again. But none of them ate lettuces in Mr. McGregor's garden for a long time afterwards.
It has nothing to do with not wearing my hat in the sun, you silly old woman. Never had anything like it in my life. It's certainly nothing to do with the garden, I can tell you that. Where are you, you wee beasties? I know you're in there. Come out. Come out. 6 wee rabbits making a fool of John McGregor.
Oh, never did I see such a mess. Smears of honey and moss and thistledown and marks of dirty feet all over my nice clean house. Will it ever be tidy again?
Poor Mrs. Tittlemaus. But the next morning she got up very early and began a spring cleaning, which lasted a fortnight. First she fetched some twigs and made the front door narrower so that Mr. Jackson should not get in again. Then she swept and scrubbed and dusted, and she rubbed up the furniture with beeswax and polished her little tin spoons. When it was all beautifully neat and clean, she gave a party to 5 other little mice, without Mr. Jackson. He smelt the party and came up the bank, but he could not squeeze in at the door. It was such a happy party. Mrs. Tittlemaus had quite forgiven Mr. Jackson. And although she had no food to suit his tastes, he sat outside in the sun all afternoon, and they handed him acorn cupfuls of honeydew. And he was not at all offended.
Tiddly widdly widdly. Your very good health, Mrs. Tittlemaus.
So, Mr. McGregor did not get his tobacco, and Mrs. McGregor did not get her rabbit skins. But next Christmas, Thomasina Tittlemaus got a present of enough rabbit wool to make herself a cloak and a hood and a handsome muff and a pair